Hello everyone, my name is Naina and I'm from the Buddhi Academy. So, in our today's video, we are going to talk about the chapter that is chapter number 17, Stars and the Solar System. So, stars and the solar system. All the kids are fascinated by all these things, right? So, what is there in the space? So, in today's chapter, we will see about all the things that are present on the sky. So, as a kids, used to visit the villages, right? So, there were two kids, that is Paheli and Bhuj. They also visited their grandparents during their summer week. After dinner, they went on the rooftop and they saw a clear, cloudless night. They were surprised to see large number of bright stars in the sky. So, in the villages, you can see bright stars because there are no clouds on the sky. Why it is? So they had never seen such a beautiful scene in the city. So they wondered why in village the sky is so clear and it has bright stars in place of big cities. Big cities you can't see all these things, right? Why? So their grandfather he explained to them like due to bright light and smoke, dust, the sky in the big cities is rarely clear. So in cities, what happens? There is bright lights, huge buildings, industries which are releasing smoke, dust. Because of all these things, the sky is rarely clear. It never appeared to be clear. So you can't see a bright stars in the city areas, but in villages you can see nice clear sky with bright stars and moons. And he also identified some objects seen in this night sky and told stories associated with them. So all the village people they know the sky very well, they know the objects present in the sky. So similarly their grandfather also identified few objects and told them various stories regarding them. So night sky watching can be fascinating experience at a place where there are no bright lights and there are atmosphere and the atmosphere is clear. So observing a sky in the villages is much better than in the cities because in villages there is no bright lights, the atmosphere is clear, you can see a clear sky, stars. Okay. And once the sky is clear, you can see the entire sky is dotted with countless stars, some bright and some non so bright, right? So there are bright stars which are twinkling, there are stars which doesn't twinkle, they just present there. So the ones which do not twinkle are the stars which doesn't twinkle means it glows light, you can see it's glowing. So the ones which twinkle are the stars and the one which does not twinkle are the planets. So the ones which do not twinkle, the object which do not twinkle are the planets. Okay, these are the planets. The moon is bright object in this night sky. The stars, the planets, the moon, many other objects in the sky are called celestial objects. So what are these objects called? Celestial objects. So all the objects present in the sky like the stars, the planets, the moon, and there are other objects a part of these three. So all these are called as celestial objects. The study of celestial objects is known and the associated phenomena is called astronomy. So what is astronomy? Astronomy is the study of celestial objects. So the moon, stars and planets, not and planets, the moon, stars, planet and other objects. Present in sky. These are known as celestial objects. Now, study of these celestial objects and their phenomena it's known as astronomy. Okay. So the study of celestial objects and the associated phenomena is called astronomy. So in ancient India, our ancestors performed methodological observations of sky. Their knowledge of astronomy was highly advanced for their time. So our ancestors, they had performed various methods of observation of skies, but their knowledge of astronomy was way advanced in that time. The passage of sun, stars, moons, and planets in the sky helped them to devise calendars and almanacs. So the passage of sun, ancient people, they used to determine the time using the direction of sun. So similarly, using those phenomena, they used to devise the calendars. They were often used sorry these were often used by people in their day-to-day conduct and a better understanding of climate, rainfall patterns for timely sowing, choice of crops, fixing the dates of seasons and festivals. So all these things like passage of sun, stars, moons, planets, these are used to conduct a day like understanding the climate, rainfall, so when to start sowing the crops or which crops we should plant at that particular time, fixing of dates and seasons and festivals. So in this today we're going to see the moon. So what does the moon, so what is the moon? So we'll start with moon. So on the sky, on the night sky, the biggest thing or the brightest thing we can see is the moon. So if you observe a moon continuously for several nights, you can see that once a full moon is appeared, the next day it starts to decrease, and in few days you won't be able to see any moon in the sky. So what is it? So the day on which the whole disk of moon, so there are changes in shape of the moon every day, right? There are days when the shape of moon appears to be perfectly round, and there are days when moon cannot be seen at all in the sky. So what are these? The day on which the whole disk of moon is visible is known as full moon day. Thereafter, every night the size of the bright part of the moon appears to become thinner and thinner. So once you see a full moon, from the next day it starts to decrease. It starts to decrease in size. On the 15th day, the moon is not visible, and this is known as new moon day. Okay. The next day, only a small portion of the moon appears in the sky, and this is called crescent moon. So what are the three phases of moon that we have seen? So on one day, when full moon is visible, this is a full moon day. Once the full moon is visible, from the next day it starts to get thinner, right? On the 15th day, on 15th day, what happens? There is no moon on the sky, or it is not visible. So this is known as new moon day. And the very next day, from new moon day, you can see a small part of the moon. So very next day after the new moon day, you can see a small part of moon, and that is known as crescent moon. Okay, so these are the three phases of moon. So first is that the day on which whole disk of the moon is visible. It's known as full moon day. Then it starts to get thinner and thinner. On 15th day, moon is not visible, and that is known as new moon day. The next day, only a small portion of the moon appears in the sky, and that is crescent moon. Then again, the moon grows larger, and you can see the full moon. So this continues. The various shapes of the bright part of the moon as seen during month are called as phases of moon. So this whole part is known as phases of moon. Where the changes in shape of moon is observed. So phases of moon, where the changes in shape of moon is observed. Phases of moon play an important role in social life. Almost all festivals in India are celebrated according to the phases of moon. Right? From Diwali, for example, Diwali is celebrated on the new moon day, where there is no moon. It's seen. Buddha Purnima and Guru Nanak's birthday are celebrated on full moon days. Mahashivratri is celebrated on 13th night of waning moon. Eid al-Fitr is observed on the day following the sightings of crescent moon. So in India, we follow moon or the phases of moon to celebrate our festivals. So let us try to understand why phases of moon occur. So why do we see these phases? Or one day you can see a full moon. Why do it decrease and there is no moon on the 15th day? Then why it again grows back to a full moon? So why it happens, we'll see now. So in the chapter, that is chapter number 16, we have seen that moon does not produce its own light, whereas the sun and the stars do produce their own light. So why moon is visible to us? It's because we see the moon because of the sunlight falling on it, which gets reflected towards us. So this sunlight, when it falls on the moon, it gets reflected towards us. So if we consider this is earth and this is this moon, this is sun. So the sun, these rays reflect on moon, these rays fall on moon and it is reflected on the earth. Or if we consider this as earth, so consider this as earth, this is earth, this is sun, and this is moon. So these rays, these are falling on moon and then they are reflected towards the earth. So this is the night. So we can observe the moon. So the moon is visible due to the reflected sunlight. So therefore we only see that part of the moon from which the sunlight is reflected towards us. So we can only see this part of the moon because this is where the sunlight falls and reflects. This part we can't see because there the sunlight is not there. So we only see the part where sunlight falls and reflects towards the earth. So this is why we see these positions of the moon. So the size of the illuminated part of moon visible from the earth increases each day after the new moon day. So the size which is illuminated or which is reflected towards the earth increases each day after the new moon day. After the full moon day, the sunlight part of the moon visible from the earth decreases in size every day. The moon completes one rotation on its axis and it completes one revolution around the earth. So how we can see the moon? Now we can see the moon because of the reflected sunlight. So moon is seen due to the reflected sunlight that falls on it. Okay. Now the surface of the moon. How the moon surfaces. The moon is a fascinating object for poets and storytellers. So many poets, storytellers, they tell many stories about the moon, right? But when an astronaut, when a human being landed on the moon, they found out that moon surface is dusty and barren. That means there is nothing apart of dust. Okay, nothing is there present on the moon. So you can see here. So the moon, it is just empty with lots of dust. There are many craters of different sizes. So these are the craters or holes of different sizes. It also has large number of steep and high mountains. So it has mountains as high as on the earth. So like Mount Everest. So similarly, it has big mountains present on it. So the moon has no atmosphere. It has no water. So on moon, there is no atmosphere. And no water. So these both the things are important for a life to survive, and both of these things are not there on the moon. So which says that on moon there is no life. So you all know the first person to land on the moon, right? It's Neil Armstrong. So none of the life can exist on the moon because there is no atmosphere, no water. Now let's see about stars. So what other objects do you see in the sky, night sky, apart of moon? Is the bright stars. So there are large number of stars in the sky. Observe carefully on the dark night and from a place away from the big city. Are all the stars equally bright? No. Not all the stars equally bright. Are they of the same color? They are not even of the same color. In fact, stars emit light of their own. The sun is also a star. So this is very important. The sun is also a star. And stars emit light of their own. So if sun is also a star, then why does it appear bigger than the stars? Is just because if we take an example, if I keep a football in front of me and football away from me, like 100 meters away from me, so the one which is 100 meters away from me will be seen smaller, right? And the one which is near to me will be seen bigger. So something similar happens with the sun and the star. Sun is much closer to earth than stars. That's why sun is seen bigger than stars. So in fact, the stars are present in the sky during the daytime also. So we can only see stars during night, but These stars doesn't disappear in the day. They are still present there. However, they are not visible then because of the bright sunlight. So at night what happens? The sun is not there. So the sky is dark. At that time the stars, they starts to twinkle, which is brighter. But sunlight or sun is brighter than the stars. Hence the stars are not seen in the daytime. So when you observe stars in the sky, you see group of stars, right? There are many stars in one cluster. Some are single, some are in a group form. So you find stars appear to move from east to west. Once you see the stars, they appear to move from east to west. A star which rises in the east, a star which rises in the east in the evening, sets in the west in the early morning. So the stars, they rise. Similarly, how sun rises and sets, similarly the stars also rises. They rise from the east in the evening and they sets in the west early morning. Okay, so stars. So what are stars? They are the other objects present in the sky. So what we have seen is the sun is also a star. Stars emit their own lights. Unlike moon. Moon is seen due to the reflection of sunlight, but stars emit their own light. Stars are even present in daytime, but they are not seen because of the bright sun. Okay. Similarly, the stars, they rise from east in the evening and sets in the west at morning. Okay. Okay, so in today's for next class we'll start with constellations. So in today's class what we have seen is, we have seen about the night sky in the city and in the village area. So in the city area, due to bright lightning, smoke, industries, so because of all these things the sky is clouded and never so clear, so you can't observe so many stars. But in village areas, since the sky is clear, you can observe the moon, bright stars. Okay. So in the sky, the objects or the stars, there are many stars. Some of them twinkle, some doesn't twinkle. The twinkling ones are the stars, but the ones which doesn't twinkle or glow are the ones which are planets. And moon is the brightest object in the sky at night time. The stars, the planets, the moon and many other objects in the sky, they all form the celestial objects. And study of the celestial objects and some associated phenomena is known as astronomy. Okay. One more thing is that the phases of moon. The moon, when visible in whole disk, a full moon, is known as full moon day. From the next day it starts to get thinner, and on the 15th day the moon is not visible. That is known as new moon day. And the next day, after the new moon day, the next day when the moon starts to appear, that is known as crescent moon, and all this is known as phases of moon. And due to this phases of moon is very important to Indians, as we celebrate most of our festivals according to this phases of moon. So let us, so then we have seen how the phases of moon occurs. So moon is visible to us because of the reflection of sunlight. So when sunlight falls on the moon, it reflects on the earth, due to which we can see the moon, and the rotation of this causes the shapes of the moon, or the phases of the moon. So then we have seen the surface of the moon. So the surface of the moon is dusty and barren. There are many craters of different sizes. Also, larger number of steep and high mountains. So these are the surface of the moon. Then we have seen stars. Stars are the objects which are present other than moon in the sky. So all the stars are not equally bright and are not of same color. And one more thing is that stars emit light of their own. A basic example is the sun. Sun is also a star, but sun appears bigger than the stars is because sun is much closer to earth rather than stars. Then we have seen that stars appear to move from east to west. A star rises from the east in the evening and sets in the west in the early morning. Okay, because of which we can assume that the earth rotates from west to east. So these are the things that we have covered today. So please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.